this is an experiment of sorts. I've been thinking about doing this for a while, and this is not the ideal place to run the experiment, but maybe it will get your mind thinking. So right here I have a Turkish style tea kettle, and what you do is you boil water in this bottom part, you put tea leaves in the top and a small amount of water. This creates a tea concentrate on the top, and you would then pour a little bit of the concentrate into a glass, some of the water to taste, and then if it was a Turkish tea, which I don't drink because I don't add sugar to anything, you would, presumably add sugar or other things to make it a traditional style Turkish tea. I'm not interested in that. When I heard about this method, I thought, this is going to be interesting for bancha, which is this is a mimasaka bancha. I'll show you the bag. This is from Yunomi in Japan. Great tea company. And this is a type of, as you can see, it almost looks like forest leaves. It's a very rustic, very rough tasting tea, but I think very beautiful. It's an unusual tea. It's kind of a rare tea. It's you can see the leaves are not uniform, and they're sort of roasted, and they have this nice roasty taste. And this was rumored to be the tea, or I believe that's not rumored, but like the myth is, or it's come down to us through history that the guy who wrote the Book of Five Rings, the famous manual of strategy, would drink this, and you can see why. It's sort of a warrior's tea, right? It's rustic. It's not over refined. It's one of these things that it's a warrior tea. It's rough, but sturdy and delicious, and there's a lot going on here. There are things that people appreciate about tea around the world that might not concern you. Uniformity of the leaves, of the shape of the leaves. Do you care about that? I don't care about that, but it matters to some people, right? So this is rough. I like it. I'm going to add a little bit more here. I've already added some here. And what happens is, this heats up on the bottom, and the steam heats the tea in this second vessel. This type of bancha is meant to be boiled for long periods of time. So if you see me make tea, a lot of times using a gong fu method, it's a lot of quick steepings. This is a long method. And I've tried doing this with almost like regular type steepings before, and I haven't gotten good results. I saw the Turkish kettle. I thought, man, what would happen if you started to do, well, it's steaming over a little bit. If we started to do bancha in this style. Maybe I put too much in my kettle. It's actually boiling over. All right. And by the way, there's a number of different teas that you can drink boiled. Pu'er teas, certain pu'er teas are very good boiled. And what would normally be spent tea leaves, we're going to turn it down. Let's try that. And just keep it low. Spent tea leaves, you can give them a second life, either to save money or just to be frugal or just to not be wasteful by boiling them. I like the sound of that. All right. So this has not been 15 minutes, but I did start before I started the video. So let's try it. So here's the idea. Move my phone out of the way. So what I'm going to do right here is, I probably should have done this in a better method. All right. So I'm going to pour some of this, and man, that smells good, into my Bell Hill cup. I'm going to top it off with a little bit of the boiled water. And that's it. And this solves a problem I have, which is the problem I always face. What's the best way or a good way to brew tea while working or reading so that you continually top off and you have the good stuff and you're not just using tea bags, but you do it in a way that's convenient or efficient. This doesn't look efficient because I've amassed everything together, but you can imagine sitting at your office, or you can imagine sitting in a nice chair with this beside you, and just letting it boil for a long period of time, and you continually just pour a little bit in, top it off with water, and you're good for the afternoon. You get a little vessel like this, and right now, because of the durability of this tea, I could be sitting here and drinking this all night. It's still a little hot. So I find this appealing to me. I find this as appealing to me in that I want a reading tea. I don't always just want to sit there and stare at the cup. Sometimes I want to drink something while I'm editing, while I'm writing, or while I'm reading. I'm getting stuff done, right? We think of the ideal situation for drinking tea as either being maybe alone in nature in a meditative state, or with friends where you can talk. This is always best. But we don't always have that option. Some of us like to be fueled. Fueled while we work. I need this. I need this tea right now because, this is really interesting. I like this. I need this tea because I've been up since early this morning and I have a cultural council meeting tonight. I work for my local cultural council, and once a year we get together and process grant applications to the council, and it's most of the time we don't do that much. In years past we've done things like a photography exhibit. We're not doing it this year because it just didn't make sense, and we were all overstretched, and everyone was kind of tired, and who knows whether we would have been able to have it either way. But I need caffeine, even though it's the sun is going down outside. It's past sundown. I need to fuel up. And I could theoretically, if I stretched this out, brew this tea while on a Zoom meeting without bothering anyone and continue to drink it. Now, right now, my kids they're young. They just started meeting with a teacher. All right, I wouldn't really call it school. Maybe you call it school. They're meeting with a teacher. So they're getting out a little bit. I have these little tiny windows of quiet where I have the house to myself, and I haven't had that for a year. So right now, for about an hour, I have this house to myself. This is why I'm sitting here right now. I normally wouldn't be able to sit in this chair because there would be too much of a commotion. I've done videos before in my basement. Why do I go in the basement? Well, all my tea stuff is down there, but also I sort of have no choice. Or I can go out to the garage. And the garage presents problems. Because right now, I live in New England, it's very cold out there. And I'm going to risk cracking glass and cracking ceramic playing around with high temperatures. This right here, I could theoretically go out to my garage tonight, even though it was 25 degrees Fahrenheit and dropping. And I wouldn't necessarily bring this cup. This is maybe too nice. The Bell Hill cup. But I would find a cup that I wouldn't, like a enameled metal cup, like a camping cup. Those things are great in this kind of situation. And it would help me keep warm during the meeting, and I would be able to kind of kick back and drink tea, give myself a little caffeine, because man, I was ready to fall asleep at 5 p.m. tonight. I was ready to go to sleep early. Let me check something. That tastes good. It tastes really good. Let me make sure I'm using the right microphone. Yeah. All right. Now, here's something neat too, right? Taking a sip, the temperature is starting to come down, and maybe the tea is a little bit too mild. So, top it off with a little bit of the bancha. There. Now I have two choices. I can leave this liquid in here to steam or top it off, or I can keep kind of adding water this way, letting it heat up this way. Two options to play around with, because this is not the way that this type of bancha is normally made. So it's up to me to play around and find a way that works. That is fantastic. That is so good. The last time I made this type of bancha, the mimasaka bancha, I made it using, I think I had a gaiwan. And even letting it steep for like 8 minutes, which is crazy for steeping anything in a gaiwan. You're not even going to want to touch the gaiwan. It's going to be too hot at that point. But just in terms of the results, it was no good. This is good. How would I have made bancha before I had this? I would have just used like a saute pan and put some water in it and put the leaves in and then strained it out. Now this is a much more elegant solution. And it allows me to take my little infrared heater right now, and these are great if you like to, if you're in a situation like I am where you're sometimes drinking tea out in your garage. Don't use them outside. If it starts to rain or snow or something like that, you can be in for a world of trouble. But if you're outside or you're away from a stovetop, or you know, this is great for like if you were serving tea at an event pre-COVID. You wanted to go serve tea at an event and have people sit and listen to jazz music or something. You could bring this thing along. I have a little strainer here, but I don't need this. Because of the bancha, because it's so kind of heavy and the leaves are big, I'm not getting any sediment at all. Let me pour this. Let me pour a little bit of this here. So I like this method. And the other thing I like about it is, and day one, I like this day one. Who knows what I would think day 14. And the other thing I like about the potential for this is new ways of brewing and experimenting with pour tea or spent teas. So if you've been this, you know, when I'm drinking a lot of tea, like when I have time and I'm kind of writing about tea or thinking about tea, you might get a lot of oolongs and pours and all sorts of stuff, and they go into the compost. Every once in a while, I'll save those up and put them into the saute pan and boil them at the end of the day, and you'd be amazed at some of the flavors you get when you mix these teas. You're going to obliterate the terroir. There's a downside to it, but you can get something very, very tasty and sometimes unusual in a good way. These strange combinations. You have tea that's spent, that's ready for the compost, and you bring it back to life again through boiling. This has a similar effect, and it doesn't tie me to the stove. I can sit over in my easy chair reading, keep this nice and warm. I can use a bigger glass, and I can keep filling up all day. Or I could even leave this, you know, I feel more comfortable leaving this maybe not with the kids bouncing around. There would be certain places in the house where I'd be comfortable leaving this on and just occasionally coming over to it like a samovar, instead of just keeping a lit flame on the oven all day, or the gas oven. I really like the results. I was exhausted. I was so tired. I didn't want to do this. I just wanted to go to sleep. I wanted to go to sleep at 5:30 tonight. I can barely keep my eyes open. We all feel the same, right, during the pandemic. I know everybody's going through this. We're just kind of stretched thin all the time. Parents, you know what I'm talking about, but everybody's going through this, right? Everybody has that feeling of sometimes being a walking ghost. This is nice, and it's a very warming tea. So it's cold outside, and I'm feeling all sorts of kind of heat radiating up through my head. And it's not oppressive. My house is maybe a little bit too hot. I would prefer if the house was kind of cold. My wife likes it warmer, right? So it is warming me up sort of internally, but it's not like I feel like I have to go put on a pair of shorts or something. It feels suitable. It feels appropriate. And you're thinking, as if the man needs more teaware. That's the downside, right? Do I need this? No, I do not need this. But if it opens up new possibilities that make my life easier or more enjoyable and allow me to indulge in this strange hobby I have, why not? It's really good. And I do not need the strainer. I don't need the strainer for this. Where do I put this that's out of the way? It's really in a good place. So this is what I'm going to do. I have work to do. I have to get ready for a cultural council meeting in a little bit. I have some paperwork to do. I have some forms to go over. I'm going to keep drinking my tea. I'm going to now not feel rushed because I'm on camera and I can really let the temperature come down. I'm going to try to move this in a way so that I don't have to worry about it falling off the table. And yet I can reach out and grab it and get my work done and work right next to this beast, this creature. So, this is mimasaka bancha, a Japanese tea being brewed in a very makeshift, improvised Turkish style. I'm going to, I'll give this one a thumbs up. I'll say this is interesting and worth continued exploration. I want at some point like a barrel of this stuff. I want quantities of this stuff because I could easily see this being my daily drinker, the tea that I want to drink every day, especially with this kind of setup. Once I've simplified and refined the process. Anyways, I will end there. I hope you enjoyed this, or maybe was inspired in some way. I hope you're keeping warm. I hope you're safe. Talk to everyone later.